Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Thank you very much for your accompaniment. Good afternoon to our dear participants. We will now introduce all the participants. Thank you, and thank you very much for your participation. We are in a moment that is very important, the Synodal Assembly. We know that these days are very tiring, but in the break, you are here to share with us your experiences and personal proposals. Thank you. It is a great honor and pleasure to introduce you to this synodal meeting organized by the International Forum of Catholic Action. The coordinator is Eva Fernandez, and she is also a participant of the Synodal Assembly. She works with the Episcopal Conference of Spain, and there is also the UMOF. I am the president and have been the president in this year with the cooperation of the Italian Catholic Action. As stated in the name of the webinar, we would like to share with my glasses, I can read, she said. Right, so it is very important to share synodal experiences that for us are signs of hope. We all participated in a way or another in this synodal path that started in 2021. We are seeing the birth of something new, a deep change in our being church as community of baptized. In the first centuries, the Christianism was spread by the apostles and their followers in a synodal way. We know that the Spirit shaped the unity of those churches under the Bishop of Rome, and the structure of the church became more hierarchic, more particular, and now the Holy Spirit is at work. We are working with a church that is synodal in all relationships and communities. Now we will start to work in the direction of a conversion of a pyramidal hierarchical structure to a synodal structure in our church that is new. We are in the third year of this process of new life when we started with the synod on communion, participation, and mission. Now we will hear a few words from one of the protagonists which participated in a very special way in both phases of the Synodal Assembly, and between the assemblies they worked to develop the inspiration of the Spirit for it to reach us all, for it to reach all our parishes and associations. As Pope Francis mentioned at the beginning of the second phase, the Synod is a journey, and God is trusting us with the dreams, with the hopes of a population of brothers and sisters in the world, animated by our faith and guided by the desire of sanctity. For them and with them, we want to try and understand what pathways we should navigate to reach the goal that God has set for us. We can journey together listening to God. We shall embrace the signs of the time and we shall look for pastoral actions that are appropriate for the mission that God gave us. We shall be guided with joy by the Spirit. And now I will leave the floor to Eva with the initial prayer. Now we would like to trust the Father in this moment together. Women and men connected by different parts of the world with contexts, cultures that are different, different lives, different charisms, different vocations that we wish to build together. All together, we work with the love of Christ who came to save us, to offer a full life and united in our heart, because in our heart there is the desire, the wish of proclaiming the gospel, the love, the tenderness of God to all men and women around us. We want to explain, we want to build the kingdom of God in our world. We want to take care of the dignity of every person, and we want to be brothers and sisters of the only people of God. Now we will try and read the word of the day with hope. We have the words of Prophet Isaiah. With the text we find at the beginning of the Instrumentum Laboris of the Synod. On this mountain, the Lord of the universe will make for all peoples a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with marrow, of well-aged wine strained clear. And he will destroy on this mountain the shroud that is cast over all peoples, the sheet that is spread over all nations. He will swallow up death forever. Then the Lord God will wipe away the tears from all faces and the disgrace of his people. He will take away from all the earth, for the Lord has spoken. This text is a source of hope because we know that the word of God will be our reality in the future. There are so many situations of suffering in so many different parts of the world, so much violence and war, so many wars, and we shall those who transmit hope. We are invited to turn the commitment of the Lord into a reality in our world. This synodal process helps us to open the eyes to a wounded world, to favor pathways of reconciliation, hope, justice, and peace. Now I will invite you online and here in the room to share situations of sufferings, situations that we wish to end, and we trust them in the hand of the Father. If you want, you can write a comment in the chat so that we can resonate those experiences of pain that you bear in your heart. And trusting that this commitment will be a reality in the future, we pray the Holy Father in our languages.
Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. Pues ahora dispongámonos a escuchar el testimonio de alguno
Now
de los
we
padres y
will
madres
hear
oyentes,
the
porque seguro que
witness
nos iluminarán
of
como
some
seminaristas
mothers and
para poder
fathers of
ser
the
sal
Synod
y luz
for
en
us to
medio del
be the
mundo.
salt and the light in the world.
Bien, pues
Very well.
antes de iniciar estos, de
First
escuchar
and
a nuestros
foremost,
panelistas, vamos a
before
escuchar, tenemos también hemos preparado
we
a
start
través de la Escuela de Sinodalidad del
with
UMOFC una
the
serie de
School of
videos con
Synodality, we
otros
prepared
padres y
a
madres
few videos
sinodales
with
y
other
participantes
fathers
del
and
sínodo
mothers and
que también
participants in
nos
the
quieren
Synod.
decir su voz.
They would like to
Estos
share their
videos están
voices.
publicados en la página
The
web de
video
Vatican
is
News y también
in
están en la página web
the
del
web
observatorio.
page of
Y ahora
Vatican
vamos a
News.
pasarles uno de
Now
ellos
we will show
del
you
padre
one
David
with
McCallum que
Father
nos
David
hace la presentación.
McCallum. There is a
Adelante, por
short
favor.
presentation.
My name is Father David McCallum. I'm a Jesuit priest, and I serve as the executive director of the Discerning Leadership Program based in Rome. For the last several years, I've been working with the Synod process. At this particular moment in history, this exciting moment in our church, I think about what contribution women could be making today to effectively advance the church in this synodal direction. And there's three particular contributions that really are so important and necessary at this moment. One is that we continue to work together to open spaces that are hospitable and welcoming, especially to the diversity of who we are as church, and in particular to those who have felt marginalized in the past. Women can bring the attention to these spaces, spaces of welcome, spaces very similar to the way that Jesus entered into table fellowship with his disciples and followers and included everyone. The second is really attention to relationships. Once we're gathered into these spaces, we're not just there with our separate beliefs and agendas. We're there called to build communion and to foster relationships of mutual trust, interdependence, empathy, and care. Clearly, this is the way that Jesus called people into community around him. And then the mission emerges from those relationships. The third is processes of participation. So we know at this particular moment in the church that the church is not only a speaking and teaching church, but a listening church. We need processes for listening and deep dialogue, processes for discernment and communal discernment, and ways of making decisions that are reflective of our collective and common good. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your commitment to this unfolding of a synodal church.
These videos are in 4 languages with subtitles, so you can find them at the World's Women Observatory webpage. Okay, so now let's start. We're starting ladies first. Now, we started with Momoko Nishimura. She is an international missionary community of the servants of the gospel of God's mercy in Japan, president delegate and representative of Asia during the Synodal Assembly. So, Momoko, you have up to 6 minutes, but first let's see the questions. The questions are the same for every panelist. I'm going to read them in Spanish, and you will see them. If you can put them, please, in the screen. Please go ahead. I'm going to read them in Spanish, okay? Anywhere we have the translators. First, the first question is, ¿cuál ha sido su experiencia
What
entre
has
las
been your
dos asambleas
experience between the
sinodales?
two synodal
¿Qué logros
assemblies?
ha tenido
Which
y qué
achievements have you
dificultades ha
had and what
encontrado?
difficulties have you
The
faced?
second question is, it's lost in my papers. Sorry. Is if you Si lo desea, puede
If you
compartir
wish, you
una o
can
más
share one or
propuestas
more
concretas
concrete
para
proposals for the future.
Ahí las tienen. Todos los panelistas van a contestar lo
All
mismo en
panelists will
6 minutos.
share
Vamos a dividirlo
about
en
the
dos
same
partes
questions. We will
para
divide it
que
in two
empecemos de este
sections
lado
for
y
us
luego
to
vamos del
start
otro
in
lado.
this part and then we go to the other
We'll
part.
start, Momoko. It's your turn. We have up to 6 minutes.
Good afternoon, good morning, good night, everybody. My name is Momoko. I want to share what had been my experience between the two synodal assemblies, which achievements have I had, and what difficulties I faced. I am a consecrated missionary. I work in Japan in the Diocese of Yokohama, which is next to Tokyo. So it's quite an urban, big city, diocese. But thanks to this assembly that I am participating, many of the churches, dioceses in the whole Japan, that Japan is like 4,000 kilometers from the north, which is very near to Russia. And then on the southern part, it's very near to Taiwan, the Philippines. So it's a very diverse diocese. I was asked to share my experience in many of the dioceses and the parishes. So my experience had been encountering with many people in Japan in the church who are eager to know about what had happened in the first session in the synod and what is the synod, because many people do not know what is synod, and to know and practice the conversation in the spirit. So that had been my experience to encounter so many people that are so excited and so eager to want to practice and to know how to be synodal. And it really moves me, it touches me. For example, some of the places I went to religious, there's like all the religious joined in 5 places of all Japan. And then you see religious women, sisters, like in their 90s, very old, giving their life for so many years. And then they're so open. And when they did their conversation in the spirit, like their eyes changed and they're like, oh, this is very nice. And really to see how, like, really God has the capacity to change our hearts until the end. And they are eager to learn in their communities, in their parishes, how to implement, to share not just a top-down obedience, or like, for example, the spirit or the priest tells you what to do, and then the parishioners or the lay people or the members, they obey, but really to listen to one another, to pray to one another. They are very eager to learn. So I was very happy to experience, to encounter so many people in Japan with such a diverse reality, that there are parishes that there are only 10 people in a rural area, and then you go to one parish that there's 2,000 people, and then everybody has like a real same experience of wanting to know, especially to wanting to implement and to learn what is the conversation in the spirit. That was one of the experience that really is marking me now. And the achievements that I think we are having, especially in Japan and also in Asia, is that this practice of the methodology of the conversation in the spirit is quite, everybody's happy. Also in not just in Japan, but in Asia, I think we are practicing quite a lot in many of the parishes and churches and communities. And in Japan, especially the Bishop Conference, they made a special team for Synod, ad hoc team. And in March this year, we had a National Assembly on synodality. In Japan, we are 15 dioceses, and all the bishops of the 15 dioceses, they are 17 bishops. They gathered representative of the priests, consecrated people, and lay from each diocese. In total, we were about 80. We gathered, and 2 days we did a conversation in the spirit. and we shared some of the topics that we thought it was important for that was inside the synthesis report. There were 20 synthesis themes, but we picked up like 6 themes that for us, for Japan, it was important. And we shared our experience with the methodology of conversation in the spirit. And that was very positive in a sense that some bishops, some priests, they didn't know what this was going to be. And experiencing it, they were convinced. It helped them to experience this synodal path that we are walking together, listening to one another. One of the things that I think in the church we have never done is that we never shared our opinions with all the different state of life. I never listened to a cardinal or a bishop or a priest or a sister or lay people with the same topic and the same topic and with the same time in the same table. And this also in Japan, it was very nice that we were able to share. So also at the other side of the coin, the difficulties that I find is some sort of fear among the priests and the bishops in this synodal path. So I think 6 minutes have passed, no? That's it. Thank you very much.
You're very nice. Okay. Now, I'm going to introduce Monsignor Luis Arguello Garcia. I can introduce him in English because he knows himself. And he's the president of the Bishops' Conference of Spain, Archbishops of Valladolid, and voting member of the Synodal Assembly. So thank you very much, Monsignor, for coming with us.
Gracias por la posibilidad de
Thank you
participar en este
for
encuentro.
inviting me
creo
to
que
this meeting. I
es
believe that
imprescindible
it
para
is
poder
quite
vivir la
important
comunión
for us to
misionera
live the
a la que nos
mission
convoca esta
community
experiencia sinodal,
that is at
el
the
tener un
basis of the
ámbito concreto
Synodal
donde
Assembly.
poder
It is very
compartir la fe.
important to have a moment and
Por
a time
eso,
to share the faith.
este encuentro, la
And
realidad de la
this
acción
meeting,
católica, la realidad de otros
the
ámbitos
reality of different
donde hombres y mujeres podemos
areas in which
compartir
men
la
and
fe,
women can share the
me
faith
parece
is
algo
paramount. I
decisivo.
believe that it is
Precisamente las
essential.
dificultades que yo he podido
As for the
experimentar en este
struggles
tiempo,
that I
voy a empezar
lived in
por
this
esto,
time,
tiene que ver con una
I think that
larga
there is
marcha
a
de vivir la fe de manera individualista,
broad
como una
legacy
devoción particular,
that
digamos.
tends to
Pues en ese sentido hay
guide us towards an
esta dificultad.
individualistic way
Por
of
eso es tan
living the
importante
faith,
tener
and
ámbitos
it is very
comunitarios. Y quería
important to
compartir
have
tres
community
experiencias.
moments
Una
together.
de carácter
I would like to
local,
share
como
3
obispo de Valladolid,
experiences.
una
A
diócesis que
local
está
experience in
en el
Valladolid,
centro
my
de España, pero un poco ya
archdiocese is
hacia el
in the
norte,
center
200 kilómetros al
of
norte de
Spain.
Madrid.
It is quite close to Madrid.
Como arzobispo
As
de una provincia eclesiástica que
Archbishop
tiene que ver con la
of
región de
an
Castilla,
ecclesiastic
Castilla y León,
region of Castilla and
y luego como
León,
presidente de la
and then
conferencia
as
episcopal.
president of the Episcopal
Primera
Conference.
experiencia
First
valiosa que
experience,
el camino sinodal
the
nos ha servido
synodal
para impulsar
journey
en nuestra
helped
diócesis
to
vallisoletana
promote in
el
our
impulso de los
dioceses
consejos
the
pastorales
role
parroquiales.
of the
Les teníamos
councils
muy
of
languidecidos
the
en muchas
parishes. We
parroquias
know
ni
that in
siquiera
many
existían,
parishes they
y
didn't
a lo largo de
exist.
este año
And
hicieron una
throughout the
carta,
year,
hicimos un
we
estatuto
wrote a
marco
letter, we
y una
wrote some
invitación a un
statutes, and we
encuentro
sent an
de los
invitation for
consejos pastorales
a
parroquiales
meetings
de las
of the
diversas parroquias de la
parish
diócesis
councils
para poner en marcha
between different parishes as
esta
well
nueva
to
etapa de
launch
los
this
consejos
new stage
pastorales y
for
vivir
the
también como
pastoral
campeón.
councils. It is important
Bueno,
to
no
live
ha resultado una
this
experiencia
process.
gozosa,
It
pero tampoco
was
ha sido fácil. Nuestras
good
diócesis
experience,
castellanas
but it
tienen
wasn't
muchos
easy.
municipios
We
muy
have many
pequeñitos. Hay
municipalities that are
muchas
very
parroquias
small. There are many
y municipios de
parishes
menos de 100 habitantes.
that are
Y entonces el lograr
above
ahí el, bueno, pues
10
implicar a
inhabitants. And
personas
so
o hacerlo en una unidad
it is important to think about the pastoral unit. This is helping, but at the same time, we see that there are struggles. And then another element as for the region, as Archbishop, but not only in the ecclesiastic province of Valladolid, also with other dioceses of Castilla and Leon, we promoted an ecclesial assembly for 2026, and we are going in that direction. We had a first meeting with the bishops, with the deans of the different dioceses, and we are now working with the ecclesial assembly and the pastoral councils of the different dioceses. In our dioceses, we have 9 dioceses at the time. We should try and participate in an ecclesial assembly towards 2026. The motto is the pastoral conversion of our styles of pastoral actions and ecclesial structures. So these styles are very important. It is important to promote a synodal style. The ordained ministries, consecrated people, and lay people shall discover this style, and the conversion of pastoral structures. As I said before, there is a reality in our land. In Castilla and Leon, there are so many different municipalities that are very small, and in the sociology of Spanish life is the empty Spain. It is a process that also in this phase of the synod we saw the increase in urbanization. People go to the city and abandon the small municipalities. This would be a very important experience on the regional level. And the third point, we should think about the experience of our country. In February, we will have an ecclesial event, the Congress of Vocations. We will try and explore life as a vocation. And referring to vocations, we will explore the lay vocation, the clerical vocation, and the fact that we live life as a vocation in this synodal style. It is paramount for us as baptized find our way ahead. The gift of God in our heart is paramount, and we should try and promote the meaning of our existence. We are an assembly of calls, and as an assembly of calls, have an we have to take up a responsibility to live the community of the church in a synodal way with responsibility. So this call is already done. I will now share a document. You will see that in our webpage there is a document. Who am I? In Christus Vivit 286. Pope Francis talks with the youth and says, who I am for, and this is very important. Thank you very much, Monsignor.
I need to remind all of you who are watching us by Zoom that please, any questions you would like to make to the panelists, write them in the chat. And of course, you panelists can also make questions, and all of you who are here, you can also make questions. But please, we need you to make them, because after Sister Beatriz Fey, we're going to start making some questions to the panelists, okay? So, so now we go with Sister Beatriz Fey. She's of the Congregation of the Sisters of the Immaculate Assumption of Castries. She's founder of the first African School of Synodality in Senegal. And she's an expert and facilitator at the Synodal Assembly. So, Sister Beatriz, welcome. Bienvenue. S'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. Je dirais qu'il y a presque une année, nous nous retrouvions
Thank you
ici
very much.
pour partager la même
I would
expérience de
say
la première
that a
assemblée.
year ago,
Et
if I'm
pour
not
cela, je
mistaken,
remercie
we were
beaucoup
here together
Monica,
because our
présidente de
experience
l'UMOF, pour cette
has
invitation
to
à
do
venir
with
de
the
nouveau
first
partager
assembly.
avec vous cette belle expérience de marcher ensemble. En
Thank
tant
you for
qu'Église
your
locale, donc ici du
invitation.
Sénégal,
I would like to share with
j'ai été
you
très
all
frappée
my
par la
experience
première
in this
expérience.
period
Et en terminant l'assemblée, la première
in
assemblée,
the local
ma
church
question
as
a
well.
été comment faire pour faire vivre
It is
cette
very
même
important to
expérience
try and
à
explore
mon
what
peuple
I
en
can do to
retournant au
live these
Sénégal.
experiences as
Et je me
people of
rappelle
God when I will
que
go
ici
back
même,
to
j'avais
Senegal.
partagé avec
I
quelques-uns,
remember that
quelques-unes. J'ai
I
dit que
was here and
j'ai
I
envie de
had
faire,
to
de
speak with some
proposer
of
une
you,
école de
and
synodalité. Pourquoi le terme école?
I wanted to
À l'école, on le
suggest a
sait, c'est
school
là
of
où on apprend le
synodality.
b.a.-ba.
Why a school?
Et
Because it is
plusieurs fois, il a
important
été dit
to
que
learn,
le
and
synode, en fait, la
we said
synodalité
many
s'apprend en
times
faisant.
that the synod and the
Donc, c'est dans cette
synodality, we
dynamique
can learn about
que
them
la
doing,
conception de
and these
l'école de synodalité
dynamics
a été un peu lancée. Donc,
is at
ma
the
première, une
basis
de mes
of the
expériences,
school of
c'est
synodality.
de
So my first
proposer un
experience
espace
was
de
suggesting
réception du
a
document du
space
rapport de synthèse.
to
Donc, c'est un peu
reflect
la dynamique de
on the
Vatican II,
document
des textes qui font le va-et-vient
and
entre les pères du
on the
concile
synthesis
et
report,
le
these
peuple de Dieu
texts
qui recevait ces documents et
that are
continuait
shared
à les enrichir et à
with the
les
people of
approfondir.
God.
Donc, c'est un peu
It is
cette
a
petite
constant
expérience que je
enrichment
voudrais
that we see,
partager avec
and
vous,
this is what I
l'école de
wanted to
synodalité.
do, and
Comment
it
nous
is an
avons
experience I
fonctionné
wish to share
à
with you,
partir du
the
rapport
School
de
of
synthèse.
Synodality.
Nous
Right.
avons fait un peu
We started
les
with the
termes de référence en
synthesis
prenant
report.
les différents chapitres
We
et les grandes
saw
thématiques que nous avons
our
proposées sous
points of
forme de
reference.
webinaire.
We
Et je remercie
analyzed the
au
different
passage l'UMOF
chapters,
qui nous a
different themes,
impulsé,
and we
puisque
suggested a
c'est avec
reflection on these
vous que
themes
nous avons
with
vraiment
a few
commencé
webinars. And I would like to thank UMOSC because they accompanied us
lancer de
in this
manière
process.
régulière
They helped
ces
us
webinaires, aidés par
organize
d'autres organisations et sur
these
place. Donc,
webinars.
disons, ma joie
And
aussi,
thank you
c'est
to
que
the
l'UMOF
organization
s'est
in Senegal as
approprié le
well. Thank
concept
you for
d'école de
your help.
synodalité en lançant l'école de
UMOC
synodalité de l'UMOF.
adopted
Donc,
the
disons que
idea
cette
of School of
expérience a
Synodality,
commencé à
created a
prendre
School of Synodality,
à
and
faire son chemin
it's in an
et à s'élargir
experience
à
that
d'autres structures.
slowly but
Et
surely
l'une des activités que nous
was
avons menées en
spread.
dehors des webinaires, ça a été
And
aussi
one of
des
the
rencontres en
activities we
présentiel. Et
organized
je voudrais vous
outside the
partager
webinar
trois.
was
La
based on
première,
a
ça a
few
été un séminaire que
presential
nous avons
meetings. The
organisé au
first
Sénégal,
meeting was a
regroupant
seminar
une douzaine de pays
we
de la
presented in
sous-région.
Senegal.
L'idée d'inviter ces pays, c'est de
We
pouvoir, à
gathered
leur
12
retour,
countries of the region, and the
permettre de
idea was
refaire cette
to
même expérience dans leur milieu.
help
Et ça
these
a été fait,
representatives
puisque le retour
so
qu'on
that
a eu,
when
c'est
they
que
go back, they can have
chacun,
a
au
similar
moins
experience.
dans son milieu
In this
de
way,
vie, de
we saw
communauté ou de
that
pastoral,
every
a
person
appliqué
in
la
the pastoral
conversation dans l'esprit.
activity in the
Et
community could
c'est une
apply
démarche et c'est
the
une
method
expérience
of the
très
conversation in the
forte
spirit, and
où on apprend à
it is a very
s'écouter
strong
mutuellement,
experience in my
à
opinion.
écouter
We
l'esprit
listen to each
et
other, we
ensemble
listen to
à
the spirit,
écouter
and
l'esprit. On
together
l'écoute personnellement à travers les
together
autres, mais il y a une écoute mutuelle et une écoute ensemble
we
pour
listen to the
pouvoir
spirit in
détecter des
individual terms, and
convergences,
then
des
there is a
divergences,
moment of
des points
listening
à
as a
faire
community for us
et
to
aussi
understand
des questions
the
à
points
approfondir. Et
in
nous avons
common
suivi cette
and
belle démarche
the
au
steps
cours
we
de nos
should
rencontres.
navigate,
Et
themes we
ce
shall
qui a
reflect
frappé les gens,
on,
c'est cette
and
capacité et cette possibilité de
what
pouvoir
was
s'écouter
very
mutuellement.
important
Donc,
for us,
c'est
it was the possibility
je
of
peux dire que
listening to
l'une
each other.
des
And
réussites
I
un
can
peu de cette
say
école, c'est un lieu
that this
d'apprentissage
is
et
one
d'écoute
of
mutuelle.
the
Alors,
successes we
à
had
travers
as a school. It is
cette rencontre en
a
présentiel,
place of
nous avons
mutual
pu réunir
listening, and
70
in
personnes
these
en 3
presential
jours
meetings,
où nous avons
we could gather
pratiquement
70 people
vécu la
for
même
3 days.
ambiance que
We lived
l'Assemblée
the
synodale.
same
Donc, quelques images
environment
et ça a
of the
été
Synodal
la
Assembly, and
technologie aidant, nous avons pu de temps en temps mettre ça sur
technology was a
YouTube. Donc,
great help.
les vidéos sont disponibles. Ce qui fait que l'autre volet de l'école de
We
synodalité,
could
ceux qui n'ont pas pu
go
participer en
also and
présentiel
publish content
peuvent
in
revoir
YouTube.
cela
Those
en
who couldn't
différé, et c'est ça
participate
l'avantage de la technologie.
can
Ce qui m'amène à la deuxième
take a
expérience,
look at the
c'est
webinars
le synode
in
virtuel.
YouTube. And then the
Donc nous
second
avons
experience, the
tenu
virtual
à
synod.
expérimenter avec des jeunes qu'on
We
appelle
tried
les influenceurs
to
catholiques,
live
et nous
with
avons
the
pu réunir
youth,
une cinquantaine
those
de
the
jeunes qui sont très
the so-called
marqués,
Catholic
impliqués dans la
influencers,
question du
a group
digital.
of youth
Et ce qui est extraordinaire, c'est
that
que
is deeply
la
committed
consigne, c'est que vous
in
venez
this sense.
participer,
They know
vous
very
prenez un
well the
thème qui vous
digital
intéresse
world. And we
et vous
said,
nous
right,
faites
please
une
come
présentation
here.
d'une page.
Please choose
Et
a
c'est
theme of
extraordinaire la
interest
capacité de
and
réflexion de ces
write a
jeunes.
presentation of
Et
one
chaque
page. And
tous
it
ceux qui
is
étaient là ont eu la
amazing when you see
possibilité de prendre la
the
parole. Et
capacity
ce qui
of these
était
youth.
extraordinaire, c'est que c'est la première fois pour certains de
It is
parler en
amazing. They
public.
are
Et de surtout
extraordinary.
parler en
And
public,
for
mais aussi
some of them, it
dire
was
leur
the first
propre
time
conviction.
to talk in
Et je
public.
pense que quelque chose
It
est
was the
lancé
first
au
time
niveau
for
des
them to
jeunes.
share
La
their
troisième expérience, c'est
considerations.
une
And I
rencontre
think
aussi en
that
présentiel.
it was amazing. The
L'instrumentum
third
laboris était sorti
point,
entre-temps.
I think it is
Et
the
je me suis dit,
future
pour aider
after
les
the
gens au
Instrumentum
moins à
Laboris that
lire
was
ou à
published
parcourir ce
a
document,
few months
nous avons
ago.
organisé une rencontre juste
Now we
avant de
reflect on
venir à
this
Rome,
document,
une
and
rencontre en présentiel avec une
we had a
cinquantaine de personnes
meeting in
autour de
Rome.
l'instrumentum
There
laboris.
were
Et la
50
même
of us,
consigne a été donnée.
and
Vous
together
prenez un
we
thème qui vous
pondered
intéresse dans
the
l'instrumentum laboris,
Instrumentum
vous nous
Laboris, and
développez
we
ça et
said
vous
we
exposez.
shall
Et ça a
choose
été
a
extraordinaire,
document,
la
a
capacité de
theme
ces
that is
gens, de
particularly
ces chrétiens
interesting
à
in the
pouvoir
document.
rentrer. Et ce qui fait
And you
petit
can
à
come
petit,
here and
chacun
you
est rentré
can
dans cette dynamique
explain your
de
opinion,
partage,
your
d'expérience,
reflection, and
toujours à
it was
partir des expériences.
amazing.
Et ce qui m'a
We
beaucoup
could
ému,
see a
c'est
moment of
la
deep
partenariat, le
sharing of
parcours
experiences and
d'une dame
reflections,
qui
and
nous a
I was moved by
exposé
it.
son
At some
parcours personnel
in
en
a
tant que
part of the
baptisée.
day, a
Et
lady explained
ils ont
her
suivi
personal
les
path
différentes parties de
following
l'instrumentum laboris, donc les parcours,
the
les relations,
different
les lieux,
steps of the
comment
Instrumentum
chacun a pu
Laboris, the
vivre
relationships,
cela. Et
the
ce qui est important aussi, c'est
itineraries. She
l'accompagnement de la
explained
parole de
how she
Dieu.
lived it
Alors,
all, and
à ce
we
niveau-là,
saw
à chaque fois qu'on a
the
une rencontre, nous
importance
choisissons un thème
of the
spirituel.
accompaniment.
Donc, disons, quelqu'un
In
qui nous
these
donne un
meetings,
input
we choose a
spirituel qu'on
spiritual
a entendu à
father,
partir de la parole de Dieu,
someone who
et il
can
nous accompagne
accompany
petit
us
à
with the
petit.
Word
C'est
of
un peu à
God.
l'image
And slowly
du
but
Père Radcliffe
surely, we
et de la
journey
sœur
together.
qui nous
It
accompagne dans
is
le synode. Donc,
what
ce qui est
Father
important
Radcliffe
pour moi,
and
c'était de pouvoir permettre
Mother
à
Nyaxia
à des
are
chrétiens
doing at the
de
moment in the
vivre
Synod. For
et
me, it was very
expérimenter
important for the
ce que
Christians to
l'Église vit
live
aujourd'hui. C'est le marcher ensemble, c'est s'écouter
the
mutuellement,
synodal
c'est
experience.
s'accueillir
We shall
et
journey
surtout
together. We
d'aller
shall
en
listen to
avant
each other,
en
and
incluant les plus marginalisés. Ça,
we
c'est
shall
un
try
volet
and
aussi que nous
include
avons pu
those who
développer et
live at the
sensibiliser les jeunes.
margin of our
Donc, voilà, il y
societies.
a beaucoup à dire.
The goal, the main goal,
Merci
is
beaucoup,
to
Béatrice. Merci beaucoup, bien.
work on the sensibilization
Now
of these
we're
people.
gonna
Thank you
make
very
some
much, Beatrice.
questions to the panelists.
And these are questions that have been going through the chat. And I'm going to ask questions to all the panelists, and any of you can answer. How can the momentum built during this synod be sustained in the years to come, ensuring that it's not just a moment, but a lasting transformation?
I think I think there will be concrete proposals after this second session of the synod. So there will be implementations for the synodal path. So that is one of like the assurance also that we can continue. But also I believe also that this synodal path also depends on each one of us, that not just to be passive, waiting what the Pope or I don't know who, but will say, but also we put our part to be synodal, and I think the both is very needed.
Okay. Okay, now I have one question for Monsignor Arguello. Monsignor, how do you envision the role of bishops in a synodal church? The changing, what do you envision the new role of bishops in the synodal church?
I think that there is a call. The bishop is the principle of unity in the diocesan community, and the bishop shall be the promoter of this ministry of communion to broaden participation in the mission of the church. So it is important to stress that the bishop, the successor of the apostles, is part of a board, the team of the 12. And so it is very important to cooperate. It is important to promote community with other bishops, with other dioceses in the world. And we know that the diocese is part of the territory, and we shall promote a situation in which priests can live there where they have their works with a new style. We need to think that this process will need a few steps that are quite concrete, but it is about this style and spirituality. They are paramount to the way in which we live our relationships, and we shall nourish it with our sacrifice, and the practice of the conversation in the spirit is crucial. We as bishops, we shall work in this direction together with the people of God. This can help us to grow in style and spirituality in synodal terms.
Okay, then another question for everybody. What kind of ongoing education and formation will be required to equip the church leaders and members to embrace and live out synodality more fully?
Je crois que comme nous l'avons
I
souligné
believe
les uns et
that,
les autres,
as
l'expérience de la
you said
conversation dans
already,
l'esprit,
the
pour
experience
moi,
of the conversation in the
c'est à la
spirit
fois une
is
nouveauté et c'est pas une nouveauté parce que
something new, but
peut-être
it is also
ce
something
qui
that
fait
we
la
already
nouveauté de
had in
cette
our
démarche,
church.
c'est
It is something new because
le style,
we
c'est-à-dire
now
de
have a
pouvoir, comme nous
different style,
l'expérimentons, de pouvoir
as we said
s'écouter
already,
mutuellement. Et
a
quelqu'un disait,
style of
une
mutual
parole qui
listening.
n'est pas
And
reçue dans le
someone said,
silence est une parole perdue. Donc du coup,
a word
la
that is
manière
not
d'écouter
received in silence
change.
is a lost word. And
Il y a
so the
comme un
way in which we
déplacement
listen
que j'opère
changes.
lorsque j'écoute
There
l'autre.
is
Ça veut dire
a
quoi?
transition when I
J'écoute,
listen to the other.
ce n'est plus une écoute où je rumine qu'est-ce que je vais
I do
répondre,
not
mais c'est
listen
une écoute
thinking
réflexive et
about
active.
what I will
Donc,
answer.
cette
It
manière
is a
d'écouter,
reflection
c'est
that
comme
I
si
promote.
la parole
It is
de
a
l'autre,
different way
c'est
we
Dieu
have
qui
to
parle.
listen.
Donc, je l'écoute.
It is as
Et
if in the
ce
word
qui
of
est
the other,
important,
I listen to
c'est de
God as
pouvoir
well.
faire remonter
And what it
comme une
matters
résonance
in
de
this
ce que j'ai
process
entendu.
is
Donc, du coup, ce n'est pas
to
une réponse.
share what I heard,
Je réponds
understand
tac,
what
mais
it was
c'est une
moved
résonance. C'est-à-dire, qu'est-ce
in
que
my
l'esprit
guts. It is
m'a
not
fait
about listening
entendre
and
à partir
answering
de ce que
straight
j'ai
away. It
écouté.
is not
Et c'est là,
a
pour
quick
moi, le
exchange of
caractère
thought. I will
original de
I
cette
shall try to understand
conversation
the
dans l'esprit.
will of God
De
through the
pouvoir
Spirit,
s'écouter,
through the
mais
words
aussi de
of my
pouvoir
neighbor. I
donner,
shall listen
raisonner,
and then
c'est-à-dire donner
I shall
une
reflect
résonance à ce que j'ai
on what
entendu.
I
Et
listen
c'est
to,
là
and
où,
then I shall
chaque fois que
see
nous faisons
if
faire l'expérience de la
there is
conversation
something
dans l'esprit,
inside
c'est ça
me
qui
that is
frappe les gens.
new after the listening.
C'est
This is
sentir
the
écouter.
experience of the
Et une
conversation in
écoute
the spirit,
profonde
and
et
it
qui
I am
permet
quite
de
amazed
dire
we as
De ce que
people,
j'ai
we
entendu de
shall be
toi, voilà ce
listened
que
to
ça
with
fait
a
en
deep
moi.
listening.
C'est
And
là où on voit l'action de
sometimes
l'esprit.
people
Pour moi,
say, if I
c'est
listen to
vraiment
you,
une ouverture que l'Église
I
nous
heard
donne
something
parce que
new.
cette écoute va,
And
si
there
on
is
va
an
jusqu'au bout,
opportunity of
ça va nous
opening
amener à une
offered by the
conversation.
church
Et ce qu'on
if
appelle
we
la
step forth
conversation
in this
synodale.
direction.
Et c'est à cela
We
que
will
nous sommes
reach
tous
the
appelés.
level of the
Nous
synodal
convertir
conversation,
mutuellement
and
en
this
vue
is the
toujours en vue de
conversation
la
we
mission.
are
Et le
called
but final de toute cette
to
démarche,
for
c'est
a
qu'est-ce que
conversion,
l'Esprit
for
demande
our
aujourd'hui?
mission. Our
Quel pas
goal
de plus
is to
pour
get to
une
know what
mission,
the
pour une
Spirit is saying
évangélisation
today.
plus par rapport au
What is
contexte
the
de notre
Spirit
monde aujourd'hui.
indicating for our mission, for our
Let us go,
evangelization?
now for maybe a last question. We have 4 more minutes. What steps do you believe are necessary? It's for all of you to ensure a greater and fuller participation and leadership for women in the Synodal Church and Mission.
I think there should be some assurance from the church or the change of canon law or empowerment of the canon law that is already there for the pastoral councils or the diocesan synod that ensures the participation of women should that can assure more the participation of women and lay people.
I believe that the challenge is the participation of
en la vida de
all
la
men and
Iglesia
women in the life of the
que
church, and
yo creo que pasa
I
por,
think
desde
that
mi punto
this
de vista, por tres
starts with
aspectos, ¿no?
three
Podríamos decir.
ideas. We could
Uno,
say one,
el cultivo
we shall
de la
nourish
propia conversión, de la
and
espiritualidad,
promote
de la
the
vida como
conversion,
vocación, ya me he referido a
spirituality, our
esto.
consecrated life as well.
Otro, la
Then
necesidad de
there is
tener
a need.
ámbito
We
comunitario
shall
donde compartir la fe.
promote
No podemos ser católicos
community
solo de la
moment to
Eucaristía
share the
del
faith.
domingo
We
o
shall
del cultivo de una
work
devoción en una
with
cofradía
our
de Semana
faith in
Santa,
every moment
sino
of our
tener un
life, not
ámbito
only
concreto
in the
donde
Holy
poder
Week. We shall
compartir
have
la
a
fe, un ámbito
concrete moment
comunitario. Y en
in our
tercer lugar,
community
sí
to
creo que
share the
hace falta
faith.
cauces,
And then we
estructuras.
need
Yo creo que la
structures,
participación en
the
los consejos
participation in the councils,
pastorales,
in
no
the
solo de la
pastoral councils,
parroquia,
not only of the
sino de
parish,
agrupaciones de parroquias y
is
de la
paramount.
diócesis,
Also on the
es
level of the
importante con lo que en
dioceses is
esta fase del
paramount.
sínodo estamos
In
viendo de
this
poner en
phase of the
relación lo
synod, we
consultivo y
want
lo
to create a
deliberativo.
connection between the
Yo creo que esto es
consultation and the
importante. Si a
deliberation,
partir de
and
ahí
this is
además
very
cultivamos lo
important.
que
We
también
shall
hemos
nourish
trabajado en
what
esta
we've
fase
been
del
working
sínodo,
on
que
in
es
this phase
la
of the synod:
transparencia, la comunicación de lo que la
transparency,
Iglesia hace,
communication of what
la
the church
rendición
is
de cuentas de
doing,
nuestras diversas
accountability of
actividades.
our different
Todo esto puede
activities.
hacer que más
These
hermanos y amigos,
can
hombres y
help
mujeres,
to find more
se
sisters,
sientan
more brothers
convocados a participar en la
that
misión de la
can
Iglesia. Por otra
participate
parte, el
in the
mundo en
mission
el
of
que
the church, and
vivimos
then the world in which
precisa
we
la
live is
experiencia
in
de
need
ver
of
que es
an
posible caminar
experience.
juntos
We shall
y
show
ofrecer
them to the people of God that we
esperanza a
can
nuestro
journey
mundo.
together, and we shall offer hope to our world.
Effectivement, pour ne pas répéter ce que les autres ont dit, je pense que la
Thank you
participation
very
de la
much.
femme
I believe
est
that the
devenue une évidence
participation
aujourd'hui
of
pour
women is
l'Église.
very important, and I
C'est-à-dire,
agree with you all.
c'est
I
évident,
think
l'Église reconnaît
that it is quite
l'importance
clear
de
that
la
today the
participation de
church
la
is
femme dans
recognizing
toutes
the
les
importance of the
instances
participation of
et
women
la vie
in
même de
all
l'Église. Parce que
instances in
lorsque
the
nous
life of
allons à
the
la
church.
base, ce
And
qui fait
when we
nos
probe
églises
into
aujourd'hui, pour une bonne partie, en tout cas en
our
ce qui me
current
concerne aujourd'hui qui
situation,
est en
and we
Afrique,
see that our
pour une bonne
churches,
partie, la
at
femme
least in
est
Africa,
fortement impliquée. Donc,
women in
peut-être
our
l'Église est
churches,
appelée à faire des
they
pas de plus.
participate.
Déjà,
They
elle
are
en a fait
involved.
parce
The
que
church
il
should
y a une grande
make a few
implication de la
added
femme
steps ahead, but
aujourd'hui
many steps
dans
were
la vie
taken
et la mission de
already, and
l'Église.
women today
Peut-être qu'il y a des pas de
participate
plus à
more and more
accomplir
in
et c'est
life
ce
and
que la
mission
conversation dans
in the
l'esprit
mission
nous
of the church.
révèle.
and the steps that we should take
il y a quelque chose à
will
faire
be understood
pour
with the
davantage
conversation in the
impliquer
spirit.
les femmes dans
Every
les
person
instances de
says
décision,
that we
dans
need
les
to
instances
work
de
more. We
gouvernement,
know
dans
that
les
this is
instances
what we shall do. We shall work
d'organisation au
to
niveau des
promote women
structures. Donc,
participation in the
mais
decision
qui dit
making and taking
discernement dit
processes
aussi
in our structures
prise de
as
temps.
well. But when we
Le
refer to
discernement nécessite un
discernment,
temps de maturation. Je pense que l'Église
we
est un
shall
peu
bear in
dans cette
mind that
dynamique de
discernment is about
discernement,
time. We
de
need time,
maturation
and we are now
et
in these
de cheminement
dynamics of
ensemble,
discernment, of
ensemble avec la
maturation. We
femme. Je
are
dis
doing it
toujours
together, and the church is
dans ma
doing it with
lecture,
women as
avant on
well.
parlait de la femme
I
sans la femme.
say often that
Aujourd'hui,
before we mentioned
c'est la
women
femme
without
elle-même qui
knowing
parle
women,
d'elle-même
now
à
women
partir de ce qu'elle est.
talk
Et dans
about
l'Église, c'est pareil.
themselves
L'Église a toujours parlé
and
de la femme sans
they
la
share
femme.
what they are.
Aujourd'hui, c'est la femme
In
à
the church,
l'intérieur
it
de
was the
l'Église qui
same.
parle
We
d'elle-même. Et c'est
used to
ça qui est
talk about
important pour
women
moi.
without them to
Merci,
being
c'est très
participants.
important.
Today, women
Bien,
talk
pues
in the
antes de
church
pasarle la
as
palabra
women.
físicamente a Eva, vamos a pasar otro video.
Thank you
Me
very
costó mucho
much.
trabajo
Now we
convencerla,
will show you a
pero
different
creo que me
video.
parece
It
importante
was very
que las
complicated
representantes del
to
FIAT
convince
y de la Acción
them to
Católica
participate, but
General
I
de
believe
España, que
that
tanto la
you
quieren,
all, you
la vean
participants,
también como artistas.
see this
Aquí les va.
video. It is important for you to watch this video.
En el número 57 del Instrumentum Laboris
In number 75 of the Instrumentum Laboris, which was prepared for the Second Assembly of the Synod, the proposal is made to us, which is the formation to know the tasks that women can already carry out today in the church. Well, I think it is a good initiative, but I believe that we can run the risk of staying theoretical, and what we have to do is to take steps so that these tasks can become a reality. And first and foremost, I believe that we have to make them become a normality within our church. Therefore, it might be good to create a space within our local churches or groupings of churches where women are promoted, where we work together, the ordained ministry, the laity, lay women, and consecrated life. And in this space, that training and female leadership can be promoted, that we can have tools to support and help parishes so that equality, listening, and participation of all women can be produced, and also that all the qualities and gifts that each one of us has can be developed. I believe that we could also, in this space, to share experiences that are already functioning as for this synodality and working together, and any other initiative that we can think of that needs to be discerned in the local church, or also many other proposals that have emerged in the synodal process.
Bueno, pues ya habéis escuchado alguna propuesta en el tema de
Very
la
well,
mujer,
you heard
pero
a
ahora sí
few
que queríamos
suggestions
seguir
and
también
proposals, but
profundizando, ¿no?
now I would
en
like to
cómo seguir
continue and probe
construyendo
into
esta iglesia, ¿no? Que
what we
ahora
want to build as a
queremos que
church.
sea
We
más
want
participativa
a
y en
church
la que sobre
that
todo esté
is a
orientada
church of
a la misión, ¿no? A ese
participation
anuncio del evangelio en
with
cada
the
una
announce of the
de nuestras
gospel in
comunidades.
all our
Así que vamos
communities,
a
so we
continuar
can
con,
continue
bueno, pues
with
con los padres y madres
our
sinodales.
fathers and
Y
mothers
vamos, le
of
voy a
the
pasar ahora
synod.
precisamente la palabra
I
al
will
hermano
now
Ernesto Sánchez Barba,
leave the
superior general
floor
de la
to Brother
Congregación de los Hermanos
Ernesto,
Maristas.
General Superior of the
Él es
Marist
mexicano,
Brothers.
pero ya
He
lleva un
is
tiempo aquí
Mexican, but
en
he
Roma
lives in Rome.
y es
He's been
miembro de
living
la
in Rome for
Asamblea
some
General del
time, and
Sínodo
he's a
como uno
member
de
of
los
the
5
General Assembly
representantes de
of
la
the
Unión de
Synod.
Superiores
He
Generales.
is one of the
Ernesto, gracias. Y bueno,
representatives
pues
of
esos
the
5
USG.
o 6 minutillos. Os
Right,
recuerdo
Ernesto, the floor
que
is yours. You have
tenemos la
5-6
posibilidad
minutes,
de
and
seguir
we
manteniendo
have
alguna pregunta en el chat.
also the
Si queréis
possibilities
también que
to
se le
ask more
dirija
questions in the
directamente a
chat.
alguno
If you want to, you can
de los
specify
invitados,
the person
pues
you are
genial. Y si
referring
no,
to
pues
with your
lo
question.
haremos
If not, it will be
vayan
considered a
contestando,
broad question
al
for every
material, ¿vale?
participant. Thank you.
Sed conscientes de que no nos dará
We
tiempo a
know
todas,
that we
pero
don't
a todas las
have
preguntas,
time to
pero bueno,
address all
que
questions,
intentaremos
but
que se responda
we
lo
will
más posible.
try to address
Ernesto,
them
tienes la
all.
palabra y
Ernesto,
gracias.
the floor is yours, and thank you.
Buenas tardes.
Good
Le
afternoon.
agradezco mucho a la
Thank
señora Eva
you
Fernández por
to
su
Eva.
invitación
Thank you for
para
your kind
compartir hoy en este
invitation to
encuentro
share here in this
experiencias
event,
sinodales,
synodal
signos de esperanza.
experiences, signs of
Yo
hope.
soy parte de
I
una
am
congregación
part
de
of a
religiosos,
religious
los hermanos Marista,
congregation,
que fue
Marist
fundada por San
Brothers,
Marcelino
founded by
Champagnat.
San Marcelin
Nosotros vivimos en
Champagnat. We
comunidad
live in a
y estamos
community
dedicados
and
a la
we
educación
work
y
on
evangelización
vocations and
de los niños
evangelization of the youth
Contamos
and
con escuelas
of
y con
children. We
obras
cooperate
solidarias
with
en
schools and solidarity
78
works
países
in
del
78
mundo.
countries of the world
Y
at the
puedo
moment.
decir que aunque ya somos
I
menos
can say
hermanos,
that
somos
even
creo que
though our
400 más,
numbers are
tenemos
dropping,
muchísimos laicos y
there are
sobre todo
many
laicas
lay
trabajando
people,
y
in
haciendo
particular
parte de
lay
la
women,
misión.
that
Son
participate to
72.000.
promote our mission,
Bueno,
72,000.
ha sido para mí un
Well, for
privilegio
me, it was a
que la Unión
great
de
privilege
Superiores Generales
to
me
be
haya elegido como
appointed by the
parte de los
USG
5
as
religiosos
one of the
para
5
estar en este
religious
sínodo.
that who will
Un
participate
sínodo que
in the
tiene
synod. It is a
75% de
synod
obispos y
in which
cardenales y papas
75%
y
are bishops and
25%
the Pope as well, and
religiosas,
25% are
religiosos,
religious, lay,
laicos y
men and
sacerdotes.
women,
Ese es un
priests.
cambio
I think that
primero
it is
fortísimo
a
que se ha
great
dado en la
change
iglesia.
in our dear church.
Yo tuve la experiencia
I
en el
had
año
an experience
2018
in
en el sínodo
2018
de los
in the
jóvenes.
Synod of the Youth.
También fui elegido y estuve.
I
Había 40
participated in
jóvenes
that synod and
invitados.
there were 40 young
Fue
people
impresionante la experiencia.
invited. It was amazing
Recuerdo
to
que quizá uno de
participate.
los mejores aplausos
One
que hubo
of the
en ese
best
sínodo fue
rounds of
cuando dos
applause
de
in
los
that synod
jóvenes,
was when
todos tenían el derecho de hablar, igual que
one
los
of
ancianos.
these young people spoke. They
Bueno,
all
pues yo creo
had the
que
right to
también
talk
al
and they
terminar la
talked a lot.
asamblea hace
At
un
the
año,
end of the National
yo tuve la
Assembly,
ocasión varias
I
veces también
could
de compartir, sobre
share,
todo en mi congregación
in particular in
y
my
también en otras
congregation, but
congregaciones,
also in
la
other
experiencia.
congregations, about my
Yo he motivado
experience.
mucho, sobre todo a los superiores
I
mayores, ¿verdad? Les llamamos
invited
provinciales
general
o superiores de
superiors, in
distrito,
particular in the different
sobre este tema,
districts, to talk
invitándolos
about
a que
this
se viva la
theme. I
sinodalidad
said that it is
en
very
todos los
important to live
niveles,
synodality in
empezando
all
con sus
levels,
consejos.
starting with the council.
También puedo decir que
And
algunas
I shall
experiencias
say that in
en
some of our
dialogar en mesas
experiences, for
redondas,
example, when we
buscando
talked
escuchar
in the
el espíritu,
roundtables, when we tried to
se ha
listen
llevado
to
a
the
cabo en
Spirit,
nuestro instituto desde hace más de 15 años.
we have an
Recuerdo
experience
que en
that
el
is similar
2009
to what we live in
se
our
hizo por primera
student
vez en un capítulo
institute and what we
general de
lived over the
líderes del
last 50
mundo,
years in
hace
our
100,
institute. I
se hizo
remember
con
a
las mesas
chapter
redondas.
that we had a
Al
few
inicio no
years
fue
ago
fácil
with roundtables. At the
y hoy es
beginning,
como
it
lo más
wasn't
normal.
easy, but now it is
Por eso
very
nos
normal.
decía el documento
So
anterior del año pasado
the
que los
document we
religiosos y
promoted at the
religiosas
end of the session of
podemos
last year
compartir mucho en la iglesia nuestra
states that
experiencia
we
que
religious
ya
shall
la hacemos
share
desde
our
niños,
experience in the
sinodales,
church. We
diferentes
already know
congregaciones,
what
etc.
synodality is, and we will continue
Bueno, yo
promoting
también
it.
pienso que esta
Well,
experiencia
I
nos ha
also think
apoyado
that
a
this
aplicarla en
experience helped
comunidades
us
y
to
en obras apostólicas.
promote our
Estamos
communities and
realizando un camino
apostolic
de
works.
diálogo
We
y de
are promoting
corresponsabilidad
dialogue and
con los
co-responsibility
laicos y
with
laicas,
lay
con
people,
quienes llevamos a
lay
cabo
men and
juntos
women,
la misión del
to
instituto.
promote the mission
Si
of the
no fuera por la
institute.
presencia de laicos y
The
laicas,
presence
el
of
instituto ya
lay
tenía que haber
women and
cerrado, yo
laymen
creo, un
is
80%
paramount.
de la misión.
Without them, we
Y aunque
should
hemos
close
disminuido,
80%
la
of our
misión ha crecido
missions.
3 veces
We
en los
now our
últimos 5
numbers as
años,
brothers are
gracias a
dropping,
la
but
iglesia.
we
Y bueno, yo creo que
had a
también
threefold
actualmente
growth over
tenemos que
the last few
animarnos para
years,
que la
and we shall
autoridad
try
realice
and
un
promote
liderazgo
a leadership
servicial y
at the
profético.
service and prophetic.
Partimos de la
We
experiencia de Jesús,
need to start with the
mientras daba
experience
los
of
pies de sus
Jesus after
discípulos.
washing the feet of the
Recordó que
disciples.
vino a
He
servir
remembered
y
that
no a
he
servir.
was there to serve.
Puedo decir que se avanza en
And
ese tema del
we are
servicio a la
advancing
autoridad
in these themes, the
y yo creo
service
que es
to
una
the
parte
authority. I
importante
believe that
del
it is
sinodal.
paramount in our
También
synodality.
buscamos tener una
And we
conexión con los
also
niños
want
y
to have
jóvenes.
a
Este
connection
año
with the
pasado
youth,
hemos
with
lanzado un
children.
proceso hasta
Last
averiguar que
year,
se
we
llama
launched a
Levántate,
process,
opina y
Levántate,
participa.
opine and
Y también hemos
participa.
creado
Stand
muchas
up,
redes
share your
internacionales
opinion,
de
and
escuelas, de
participate.
solidaridad,
We
de
work with
voluntariados.
schools, with
Bueno,
volunteering
también puedo
projects,
compartir que en
and
algunos capítulos
in
provinciales
some of
de
our
todo el desierto
provincial
de Estados Unidos
projects. and councils, we invited lay people to participate and to share, to listen, and also the youth. I participated in a few of them, and it is amazing the way in which they are opened to the Spirit. And I could also say that the union, so the USG and WISG, they've been working a lot in this sense in the Synod. And a very important point I would like to mention as well is that in this great number we have of lay people, of lay men and women, there are many of them that are in touch with our charism, following Jesus and Mary, people that want to say, this is my lay vocation with strength. I want to explain that they share our vocation. We are working with many lay in the world to promote it and to wrap it up. I would like to say that sometimes we struggle. Of course, a few cultures do not like this sort of dialogue, as we said. It is not easy, but it is important to promote it as a personal conversion. And secondly, we should continue sowing and we should leave the fruit in the hands of God. Many fruits will not be immediate, but we shall continue with the sowing, and the role of women is key. I am part of a numerous family. My mother had 16 children, 9 sisters, and faith, my faith, is a fruit of the faith of my mother. The church is a church of communion.
Pues muchas
Thank you.
gracias, Ernesto,
Thank
por
you very
compartir
much,
con
Ernesto.
nosotros
Thank you
tu,
for
bueno, vuestro
sharing with
proceso
us your
como,
process
como maristas.
as
Le paso la
Marists.
palabra
Now we'll
ahora
share,
bueno, a doña
and I will leave the
Enrica
floor
Sali
to Enrica
Delosa,
Salis de
que es
Losa.
profesora de teología
She
en
is
la
a
Universidad
professor of
Católica de
theology in
Bolivia
the
y directora
Catholic
del Centro
University
de
of
Promoción del
Bolivia
Laicato
and
Ricardo
director of the Laity
Bachelet, no sé
Center
si lo digo
Ricardo
bien,
Baiteres. I hope I am
miembro
pronouncing
de la
it well.
Asamblea General
Member
también
of
del
the
Synod
General
y
Assembly of the
representante
Synod
de
and
América Latina.
representative of Latin America.
Gracias, Erika.
Thank you, Erica. The floor is yours.
Gracias por la
Thank you. Thank you
invitación.
for your kind
Bueno, sí,
invitation.
es para mí una
Right, for
gracia
me, it
estar
is
en
a
el
great
sínodo
grace
porque
to
mérito
participate in the
no sé si lo
Synod.
tengo, pero la verdad
I
es
am
que es
not
una
sure if
experiencia
I'm
muy
worth, but
enriquecedora.
it is a very enriching
Bueno,
experience
soy
that is
docente en el
transforming
Seminario San Jerónimo
myself. I am
durante
a
15 años
professor.
y
I've been a
también
professor
doctora
in
del Centro de
the San
Laicos,
Jerónimo
que desde sus
seminar
inicios se
for
ha
15
dedicado
years, and
a
we
formar al
tried
laicado en
to
materia de
form
vida y en
laity
materia
in
de lo
faith
social,
and
¿no? lo
social
sociopolítico.
terms, social-political
Y bueno,
terms.
desde que he
And
vuelto a Bolivia, he
since I
podido
am back in
compartir en
Bolivia,
muchas
I
instancias
shared in many
experiencias
different
sinodales.
moments my
Hemos estado
synodal experience.
en los retiros de los obispos y
We've
de los
been part
sacerdotes en
of
Santa Cruz,
retreats of
en
priests
asambleas
in Santa
parroquiales
Cruz,
en
in
diferentes lugares de Bolivia,
parishes,
y la recepción ha sido
assemblies,
muy grande
and the
porque
reception
en
was
estos
very
encuentros
good.
hemos aplicado la
We were
conversación en el
welcomed,
espíritu,
and we
y una de
saw that
las
people liked the fact that we
riquezas
were
que
applying the
tienen estos
conversation in the
encuentros es
spirit.
que se
And
han
one of
dado
the
cuenta que es
richnesses of these
posible hablar y
encounters
pensar
is for us
diferente
to
y no
talk
tener que
and
discutir ni pelear.
think in a different way without
Una cosa muy
discussions,
linda que
without
me ha tocado
arguing. And
vivir
a
es
very
que sobre
important
todo los
point I
jóvenes lo
heard is
han
that
recibido con
the
mucha
youth
alegría y han
received it with great
inventado
joy and
métodos para
invented
poder
methods
difundir
to
el
spread
sínodo.
the
Un
synod.
método fue
A
la educación
method
popular,
is the
¿no? Y en
popular
esto
education, and in this
hemos
sense, we have
inventado
the
el
theater.
teatro de la
We
carpa, ¿no?
invented the
Porque la
theater
motivación de la segunda etapa era la
of the
carpa, ¿no?
second
Isaías
phase, the theater of the
54
tent.
dice, abre el
Isaiah
espacio de tu
40,
tienda.
54,
La
we shall
iglesia como un
enlarge the
lugar de
space of
puertas
our tent.
abiertas, un iglesia
This church
peregrina,
has
quienes
open
están
doors. It
que
is a
acoge,
church
¿no? A
of
aquellos que
pilgrimage,
están
and we
que se han
welcome, we
ido porque
embrace
estaban
all those
desilusionados,
who
a los
escaped
que
because they
estaban tirados en el
were
camino, a todos se los
sad
invita.
because
Este teatro
they
lo realizan los
didn't have
jóvenes en las
hope.
calles,
This
¿no? Hablan
theater
de ese proceso
is carried
desde
out
la
in
iglesia
the streets
primitiva,
by the youth. They
luego
talk
Vaticano II
about
y finalmente la sinodalidad en la
Vatican
Asamblea
II
Mundial.
by
Otra
the
experiencia linda
primitive
tengo
church. And then
al
a
haber
very
visto
interesting
que el
experience
Papa
we had as
Francisco
well
nos
was
dijo a las mujeres, hablen sin miedo.
an experience
Cuando
relating
yo
to the
iba a
fact that
hablar
Pope Francis said that
a
we
las
shall talk as
parroquias, a los
women without
grupos
fear.
sobre la
When
sinodalidad,
I
y les
talked
decía, para mí el Papa
synodality
Francisco, bueno, a nosotras
in
las
the
mujeres nos dijo,
parishes,
hablen sin miedo,
I used to say, Pope Francis said, we women should talk without fear, and women would share with me stories of pain, what they lived in their parishes, and a very good experience we had with listening. We see that we can talk, and it is very important to talk about it. We also provide a formation for laity, the study of the documents, the oldest ones, the International Commission, speeches of the Pope, the tools, the instrumentum laboris, for example, that we have from the continental phase, the synthesis, the last report, and different modules of study. And it was a great enthusiasm for the laity because the laity is broadening the formation. You know that at the end of the first phase, we said that we need formation. We need formation to know our church. We need to promote co-responsibility. And a good experience I have, we as religious, we participated in the conference in Cochabamba. I was invited to general chapters. Erica, they said, we heard that you were full of enthusiasm and we want to understand how to reform our chapters. It is to say, what are we supposed to do in the future? Because we know that there is a crisis of vocations, and as the brother said, we are open to the laity dimension, to the spirit of the congregation. And so I shall say that I am full of joy, but it is also a challenge to promote these statutes and right. So I shall take notes and I shall bear attention in the synod because I have some pending tasks. So in general terms, it was a very nice experience. And maybe as for the problems, I could say that the world of our church is not taking it into account. We have the proposal of inviting priests, but unfortunately, we do not have many from Bolivia, and sometimes that specific person cannot talk to all participants. It is a very broad experience. We could say that there are gigantic challenges, in particular in my area, because I would like to reach the indigenous world. You know that Bolivia is mostly indigenous, but you shall learn the language, you shall find methods to socialize in the synod, and I would love to create more connections. But well, the synod for me, it is an amazing experience anyway, and I'm very grateful to the Pope for the invitation. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, because we are now getting to the concrete level. How can we step forth in a synodal way in our different realities, right? So now we want to invite someone who is participating in the synod in a different way from the Department of Communication. You know, sometimes, well, not sometimes, she said, always, is crucial. It is crucial because they reflect what we live in the synod and they talk with the whole world. So I will leave the floor to Tommaso. Tommaso is an expert of communication in political institutional terms. He is very young, as you can see, and it is a great joy to have so many young people that participate in politics. And he is in charge of social networks of the Italian Catholic Action. As I said, the synod, in the synod, he is part of the team of the General Secretary, and he will now share how he is living this experience. Thank you very much. In all languages. It is complicated for me to talk in public. I usually write. I do not talk that much with a microphone I usually talk only to my colleagues, but well, I shall say that the synodal path, we mentioned the digital world, we mentioned the youth in the digital world, and then there is a turning point, the third part of the document, chapter 17. For the first time, we see the need of taking care of the culture of the digital. And this is a great element of interest for me. I'm very young and I work in the sense that this summer I received a call to participate to the synod to help the team of communication. It is a team of great professionals from all over the world. I think that in human terms we are doing great, but I think that this is the most important experience in my life, to be honest. I worked a lot in Rome, but I can breathe synodality in our team. And we are in this office under the ground, under the room Paolo VI, and we breathe the same air of our synodal mothers and fathers. And then the theme of the communication, as for the synod, is very important. We are called to be more responsible, to be more in charge, and we shall be very delicate when we address some sort of topics. Our struggle is to probe into the complexity of the ideas that are expressed. We know that the digital tool usually is a tool we use to simplify, but we know that we should promote a physical encounter with the digital, and we shared the witness board, but I think that there is a different environment because of the platforms, the algorithm. There is more visibility, more debate. There is a fight against factions, and we are trying to work to listen, to try and bear a culture of listening. It is not only a window for us to publish the ideas expressed during the assembly or comments. We want to listen also to the struggles and the incomprehension we see. Of course, there are a few areas in the world in which we live this process in a different way. And so every day, with different tools, depending on the public, on the audience, we try to update the world about what is going on, respecting the confidentiality of what is going on. So I think that the digital tool is very important in this sense. We shall leverage it, and we shall try to use it to anticipate what is going on, the future dialogue, what we shall listen from and learn from the Synodal Assembly. So my wish, as for chapter 17 of the report, is to continue working with an increased commitment, with more awareness on the culture of the digital world. We already have the first generations, the digital natives. I'm 30 years old, but when I talk with them, I feel very old. They do not divide personal life and digital life. For them, it is the same. And for me, usually the gospel was only in Saturday. Sometimes in the week, with us as a Catholic, I had other moments of sharing. But being digital natives, they have the possibility of receiving a message every day from a parish, from a catechist, or from a digital missionary. So my wish is to invest more energies in the digital. The digital is an element we shall leverage, and not only with optimism. We cannot go back. The digital is not a secondary dimension. We know that there are new generations that live in the digital, and they will be the future present. Thank you.
Pues muchas gracias,
Thank you
Tommaso.
very much, Tommaso.
¿Tenemos alguna pregunta en
Any
el chat?
question in the chat?
Una de ellas,
Right, so I read.
bueno, la hacíamos ya en el anterior, bueno, aparecía ya en el anterior bloque, pero me parece
It was a
bueno
question we had
recuperarla, ¿no?
already, but I
Muchos de
want to
nosotros,
try and address it again. Many of
participamos
us
de la vida de la
participated
parroquia, de
in
la
the
vida de la
life of the
iglesia
parish, in the
diocesana,
life of the dioceses, and
vemos, ¿no? Que hay
we
muchas
see
personas
that there are many
que se
people
implican en el proceso,
who
pero como si esto
participate in the
fuera
process
rellenar una encuesta,
to
¿no?
feel as if
Que
it
todavía
was
no
filling
sienten
a survey.
el
They do
que
not
esto va destinado, ¿no?
understand
a decir
that
cosas, sino
this
a
is about
involucrarse personalmente
participation,
y a empezar a
active
vivir la
participation,
vida
to
en la
live
iglesia,
life
pues ese caminar
in the
juntos.
church, to journey
Em,
together.
¿Cómo podemos
So how
animar
can
a
we
que todas
animate
las personas de nuestras
all
parroquias
people in
estén
our
invitados a
parishes
participar en
to
este proceso
participate in this
y que esto es
process
un cambio más profundo en nuestra
to
iglesia?
promote a deeper
¿Alguno de
change
vosotros
in
se
our
animaría?
church?
Creo que
I think that
el método
the
es para
method
mí clave, ¿no?
is key.
Es interesante
It
cuando
is
uno lo
very
aplica en
interesting
grupos
when
así
you
que se
apply
reúnen,
it to
grupos
groups that
parroquiales de
are
jóvenes,
all
y les
together,
dices, bueno,
parish
ahora
groups.
reúnanse y
You say
apliquen
to
el
them, now
método.
you shall
El
stay
método
together
de
and
tener la
apply the
oración
method.
central
The method is very
ayuda a
important,
que
and
ellos
it
puedan
helps
hablar
us
sobre sus problemas,
to
sobre
talk
sus
about
desafíos.
problems, challenges,
Entonces,
and
para mí
so
una
I
forma
think
de
that a way we
involucrar
have
a la
to
gente es el método.
participate
Y por otro lado,
is the method. We
clave
should
para esto es
leverage
el
the
decir que
method, and
todo
then it
bautizado es
is key to
corresponsable,
say that
¿no?
we as
Obviamente es a
baptized,
partir
we
de
are
eso que pide
co-responsible,
información.
and so we shall ask
Tú
for
desafías, pero te
information. There are
desafían
challenges
también en la
that are
formación.
complicated to address.
Entonces,
Right,
aprovechando,
so
Erika, como estás hablando de la
Erika, you
formación,
were talking about
¿tú qué crees
formation.
que
What
nos
do you
puede
believe?
aportar
What
a
can
cada uno
be
de
a
nosotros, como sobre todo a
contribution
los
for
laicos,
us all, for us lay in
esta formación?
particular? What
Porque en
is
el
the
sínodo lo
contribution
decías,
of
en la
this
primera
formation?
sesión,
You
en esta
said that
segunda sesión, también
it is
estuvieron viendo el
very
tema de la
important, and we see
formación.
that we are
En
talking
el
about
Instrumentum Laboris
formation. In the
aparece de la
instrumentum
formación
laboris, there
permanente,
is
integral,
the idea
para
of
todos, ¿no?
integral and
Pero,
permanent
y
formation
sobre
for
todo que los
us
que nos
all.
están
And
escuchando,
for
que la
those who
mayoría
listen to
son los
us,
laicos,
we know
¿qué
that the
nos puede
vast
aportar?
majority
¿Cómo
are
nos puede
lay.
ayudar en
And
nuestra
what is the
vivencia de fe y sobre todo
contribution
en el
for us
anuncio del Evangelio?
in the faith and in the proclamation of the
Tengo un
gospel?
lema
I
cuando
have a
formo a
motto
los
when
laicos y
I
digo,
form
la
lay
fe es
people.
un don de
Faith is
Dios,
a
¿no?
gift of
No es
God.
mérito de
It is
nadie,
not
pero
a
la fe tiene
merit.
contenidos
Faith
y los
has
contenidos hay
content,
que
and
conocerlos,
content
hay que
shall
estudiarlos.
be studied. And
Finalmente, creo que
I think
necesitamos
that we
crear
do
un
need to
lenguaje
create a language
sencillo,
that is
un
easy,
lenguaje
a
actual.
language that is
¿Por qué? Porque los
updated.
lenguajes
Why? Because
que se han usado en teología,
languages
por
that we
ejemplo,
used in
reino de
theology,
Dios
kingdom of
o
God,
escatología, parucía, que son
eschatology,
términos
parousia,
teológicos y lejanos a nuestra
logical,
realidad,
easy terms.
sobre todo los jóvenes, los
I
niños no
think
lo conocen, ¿no?
for the
Desde las
youth, they are
cuestiones
very
más
complicated and
doctrinales.
they do not
Cuando
know
yo hablo
them.
de Dios
Also,
Padre, que entregó
in
a su Hijo por
doctrinal
amor,
terms,
etcétera,
God
tengo que
Father
darme las formas de que la
or
gente no se
Jesus
quede
the
con la idea
Son,
de un
it
Dios
is
malo, por
important to
ejemplo, ¿no? Que
understand
entregó a
that
su
God
Hijo
is
a
good.
que nos salve en la
Uh,
cruz. Es decir,
The
son
cross is
detalles
a
muy
sacrifice
importantes
for
en
the
la
will,
formación,
for
que
the good
sea
of
un
the
lenguaje actual,
humankind.
un
And
lenguaje
we shall
sencillo y
find a
novedoso.
language
Para
to
mí es clave
explain it to the
eso.
youth, a simple language for them to understand the
Ernesto,
word of God.
estamos hablando mucho de
Ernesto, we
esa
are talking at length
corresponsabilidad
about
diferenciada, ¿no?
corresponsibility and
Muchas
differentiated
veces, bueno, pues en
corresponsibility
la vida de
in
nuestras
many
parroquias sabemos que está,
cases in the life of
bueno, nos
our
cuesta
parish.
mucho, ¿no?
We
Tenemos
see that
muchos
we
compartimentos que
struggle.
están con nuestra
We
iglesia.
have different silos
Tenemos
in our
la vida
church.
consagrada por un
We
lado,
have
el laicado por
consecrated
otro, los
life,
sacerdotes.
laity.
Yo te quería
I
preguntar,
would like to ask
a nivel de
on the
personal, en tu
personal
experiencia, ¿no?
level, for
¿Cómo
your
has ayudado en
experience
este camino juntos, ¿no?
in this
De laicos y
journey
vida
together
consagrada.
as lay and
¿Crees tú
consecrated
que
life?
es una experiencia bonita?
Do
Lo
you
decías,
believe
pero
that
¿qué
it
crees
is
que
a
nos
good
puede aportar
experience?
como
What
iglesia
is the
para seguir caminando
contribution for
juntos?
us as a church to continue journeying together? Well, I think there is a very important point we should stress here. Sometimes we do not need many documents or new ideas. We have so many documents over the last 5 years. I don't know if you read them all. It is not sufficient. I think that the experience, the live experience, is the core. We are here and we are participants of the Synod. We are 368. And 1 year ago, for many of us, was the first time to have round tables to listen to women, lay people, sisters, bishops, all together. And it was very nice during the month to see a change in the aptitude. And today it is very natural. We see that it's very natural because we lived it. I think that we should generate it also in the permanent formation for every authority level. We shall generate experience, we shall listen, we shall talk, because that is the beginning. And then, of course, we can generate new structures. We need workshops, we need assemblies to continue.
Ahora una pregunta para el que quiera responder
Now, a
de
question.
los tres. Estamos hablando mucho,
We
y
are
yo creo
now
que es algo
referring at
que nos
length
inquieta, ¿no?
about
¿Cómo
an
creéis
element.
que podemos llegar
How do you think
a
that
la
we
gente que está en
can
la
reach
periferia?
those who are in the
Hablamos mucho de
peripheries? We
los
talked
jóvenes
a lot about the
que
youth,
no están, bueno,
those
que
who
les cuesta venir a nuestra iglesia.
struggle to
Hablamos de
participate in our
considerar a
church,
los pobres y a
those
las personas
who
vulnerables como agentes de
think
evangelización
that the
y
pure
que puedan
are
sentirse
agents of
invitados,
evangelization, those
personas que
who
están
are
en una
invited,
situación, bueno, pues con
those
una
who
vida
live in
diferente
a
a
situation with a
la
different
propuesta que
life.
nosotros
What is
hacemos.
the proposal
¿Cómo
that we
creéis
send?
que podemos llegar?
How do you
¿Alguna
believe
propuesta
that we
concreta
can
de
create concrete
cómo poder llegar a
proposals
esas personas?
to reach
O
those
al menos que
people?
abramos el
Or
corazón
at
hacia
least,
ellos.
how can we open our heart with them?
Bueno, con este método, por
With this
ejemplo, del
method, for
teatro,
example, of the
de salir
theater,
a la calle
the
a cualquier
importance
hora,
of
¿no? Porque
going
hay
out
jóvenes que
there
quieren
in every
hacerlo porque se
moment.
divierten, además de actuar, ¿no? Hablando
We
del
know
sínodo.
that the youth,
Una de las
in this
iniciativas que hemos
sense,
tenido es justamente
is
ir
very
donde hay
important.
gente que está en
We
la
want
calle,
to
esa
go
gente de
out there
calle, ¿no?
with
Que vive
people
ahí
of the street,
y
those who live
llevando
there,
algún tipo de
taking
alimento, de ayuda,
food, help
de lo que necesiten, ¿no?
to help them.
Evidentemente esto no
Right,
se puede hacer
so
cada día, no
we
se puede
cannot do
hacer
it every
en todo
day,
momento,
we
pero creo
cannot
que
do it in every
es un
moment,
momento de,
but
no sé, de encontrarse
it
con
is
Dios
quite
para estas
important for us
personas
to meet
y
with God.
luego
And
se
then
pueden crear
we
vínculos
can
con las
create
parroquias, ¿no?
bonds with the
Porque en Bolivia,
parishes
por
in
lo menos, la
Bolivia.
parroquia tiene
For
siempre
example, the
esa
parish
dimensión
is
social, ¿no?
always the social
De acudir al que
dimension.
sufre, de
We
acudir
shall
al
embrace
de la
those who
cárcel,
suffer,
etcétera.
those who
Esa
are
dimensión
in
social
the
está metida en la
prisons. This
parroquia.
social
Creo que
dimension is very
esto de
important in the
salir a la
parish.
calle, lo que decía el Papa,
And
¿no? Ir al
as I
encuentro
said, it
de
is
las periferias
important to
existenciales,
go to the
no
peripheries
quita
of
poder
the
hablar del
existence. And we
sínodo,
shall
una
talk
ayuda
about the
social junto a
synod
una,
with a social help.
diríamos, un compartir la
We
sinodalidad, ¿no?
shall share
Preguntar a esta gente, ¿por
synodality.
qué estás en la calle? Es decir, acercarte. El hecho de hablar ya
The fact
es
that
una
we
forma de
talk
llegar. Y yo
is
lo
a way
aprendo
for
por
us to
youtubers
reach.
también, que se van a
And
la calle y cortan el pelo a los
I see in
indigentes,
YouTube
les
people that
lavan, les limpian. Y de quién hemos
cut the
aprendido eso?
hair
De
of
Jesús,
those
acercarte
who
al que
are
sufre, ¿no?
living in the street. This is the example
Pues
of
ojalá
Jesus.
podamos
We
seguir
shall be
dando
close
pasos.
to those who
La
suffer.
última pregunta
Right,
para
so we should
Tomaso.
try and step forth. The
Tú
last
como
question for
joven,
Tommaso. You,
que
as a young
todo el ámbito
person
de la
in the
comunicación
area
en
of
redes sociales,
communication in social networks,
nos podrías decir
can you
cómo
please
podría ser nuestra
explain
actitud
what is
como
our aptitude
dinosaurios
as
digitales? No sé si las traductoras me colgarán por esa palabra, pero
non-native digital
nosotros que no
people?
hemos nacido en
We
esa
are
generación que
not
esta,
born
¿cómo
in
puede
this
ser
generation. And
nuestra
how
presencia
can
en
we
las redes
promote
sociales, en
our
este
presence
ámbito
in
tan
social
grande de
networks in
polarización que
this
se vive
very
en
broad
el mundo,
area
pero en
of
las redes sociales
polarization we
mucho
live in
más?
the world?
Una pequeña propuesta
There is a
concreta de
little
nuestra
concrete
presencia en las redes
proposal
sociales.
that we would like to share with them. It is a question that is not so obvious. I think that we do not have an obligation to leave the digital, but we shall try and respect the charism in the digital. We shall try and live it. We shall try and promote the news of the digital. So, in the parish, for example, we have different figures with responsibility, and the digital is a dimension that we shall try to feel, to perceive. There is a risk going on. And now in Italy, in South America as well, we see that also in the parishes, we have many people that go there and participate in the digital world. In the parishes, they are aware of the risks. Many young people got closer to the church, to the first mass, through the digital. And they see a problem with the charism and with the centrism. I think that we who were lucky enough to grow up in a different dynamics, we shall try and not to mix the dimension of the messenger and the message that I bear. When I talk with these priests, I say the risk is that you're the last point as leaders of a group, of a community, of a digital community. So on one side, I see that this sensitivity belongs to those who is not a digital native, but as for myself, I cooperate with Father Luto for the project of the Church in Listening, the Italian community of digital missions, but I am not one of them. I participate with all in all initiatives, but I recognize that I'm not the good profile to pursue a goal in this sense. And as for a broader goal, I believe, how can I serve the community in the best possible way? So the role of the assistant, the collaborator, I think that we all have a different space, and the digital is not only the scenario or those who are behind the screen. The professionals usually are behind the screen, and we saw it with those who are part of the team as well.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Bueno, pues ya
Right,
vamos
so
terminando.
we can now close. Thank you very much. Thank you to you all. Thank you for your presence. And it is important to continue taking steps ahead. Those who participate in the Synod, I hope that can continue sharing joy, hope for a church that is different. We want a different church. We want to build a different church altogether. There is a sentence of the Instrumentum Laboris, number 53. The contribution of every baptized is unique and indispensable. And I think that this is something that touches my heart. Every baptized that is around me has a contribution and something to share. And my small contribution is very important as well. So we have to believe it. We have to believe it all. So I share the word with, now I will leave the floor to Monica. She is of Azione Cattolica Italiana. Thank you for this moment together. And right, let us continue building together the world, Italy and Spain as forums. We want to create together a synodal church. Thank you very much, Eva. Right, quite quickly, yesterday we were with a group of young people. Tommaso is not so young, I shall say. I was amazed. I saw that they are in need of hope, and I mentioned the hope, and they were very happy.
los jóvenes necesitan tener esperanza.
Young people
Entonces,
need hope,
nosotros tenemos que
and
darle esperanza a
we
esos
shall
jóvenes, tienen un lugar en
provide
la
hope
iglesia,
to the
y
young
vamos a
people in the
caminar
world, and
juntos
we shall
todos,
journey
con ellos
together, all
todos,
together,
sacerdotes, laicos,
lay
mujeres,
people,
hombres, obispos,
men,
en
women,
fin, todos juntos.
all
Creo que
together.
tenemos una gran
We have a
responsabilidad.
great
Quiero darles de verdad las
responsibility.
gracias,
Thank you
incluyendo a
very
Eva, que
much.
con
Thank
todo lo
you,
que tenía
Eva,
que
as
hacer,
well.
tenía
I
que
know that you
aguantarme
had
porque había que
a lot to
organizar
deal
esto
with,
y luego
and
fue la cosa entre
right.
los dos.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.